Welcome back to the Parkinson's Doctor YouTube channel. This is Dr. Ramon Rodriguez, and today I will be talking about understanding on and off in Parkinson's disease. And this is very critical information that you need to understand. And the reason is that your doctor will make decisions about medication changes based on how much time you're spending in the on medication state or how much time you're spending in the off medication state. So it is very important that you and your caregiver understand what does it mean to be in the on medication state, what does it mean to be in the off state, and it's important for you to keep track of this information and actually be taking note about how you've been doing in the week or two before that next follow-up visit with your neurologist. And you bring this information with you because this is what he or she will be using to make an informed decision about how to help you the best with your medicines for Parkinson's. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's try to understand. This is a very difficult concept. So I will do my best to help you understand how to determine whether you are in the off or the on medication state. So let's go ahead and move on. To begin, I want to use an example of a dimmer, right? Dimmer is that device that we have at home, and we use it to control the intensity of the lights or the intensity of the fan. And I learned this concept from Dr. Tony Gill, who's a neurologist in the Port Charlotte area, and actually asked him permission to utilize the way that he explained this so I can share this with you. So let's go ahead and move on. So when we have a dimmer at home, we're here in the lower part, and when the button for the dimmer is at this level, the light is off, right? So it is dark in the room. But as we begin uh, raising that bar, right? So now we're moving here. Suddenly we see that the filaments of the lamp are turning on a little bit, but there's not a lot of brightness in the room. So we continue raising the bar, and now the light is getting brighter. And now I continue going up, and the room is getting brighter. Still at this level is good, but it's not good enough, right? But then as I continue moving up, suddenly I have an amount of light that is just right. And actually, if I want to sit down, read a book, the way that I like it is I don't want my lights to be too bright, but I don't want them to be very dark, right? So I want them at certain levels. So the dimmer in my house, in my office, are right at this level here because to me that is the perfect amount of light. But let me tell you what happens if I continue moving up and up. Now the light is getting brighter, right? So it might be bothering my eyes now. It might be just too bright, and even if I continue raising the bar and it's getting brighter and brighter, now I might need to wear sunglasses in the room because the light it is so bright. So the perfect level for me is right here at this level, and this is what I'm going to do. For purpose of convening and understanding this, I will assume that right here is a 0 and right here is a 10, and right here we are at a 7, right? So 7 is the perfect number for me. And we're going to call this, for purposes of this presentation, the lucky 7. Lucky 7 is that sweet spot, the amount of light, the volume in the radio, the amount of sugar in your coffee that just make things perfect. Under this level, the light is not as bright. I might be having a difficult time reading my book or doing what I'm doing. Right at this level, the light is just too bright. It might be too much light. There's something that's too much light. We go outside at noon, we look at the sun, it might be too bright. We cannot see it very well. So I want you to understand this concept because we are going to compare the dimmer with the dose or the level of the medication for Parkinson's in your body to determine how is it that you feel and how you can provide this information, and actually how you might be able to give some feedback to your doctor about what you might need to feel better. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So to continue now, what I am going to do is I will be providing you with some drawings to help understand what is happening when you take your medications for Parkinson's disease, right? So let's go ahead and move on here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw uh, a graph, right? So here I am. I'm drawing a graph here. There you go. That looks very nice, right? And the way that I can explain this is, when a person is just diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, right? This is what we call the therapeutic window for that patient, right? So let me explain to you what this means. So, for example, for purposes of this presentation, I am going to assume that this is 8 a.m. Right here we have 12 p.m. Right here we have 4 p.m. And right here I have 8 p.m., right? And right here I have the level of the medication in the body. So the higher we go, the more medication you have in your body, right? So we take the first dose of the medication at 8 in the morning, right? And I'm taking the medication, and the medication is dissolving in my body, and it's going up, and right here I'm feeling good, I'm getting some benefit, and then the level goes down. So what I want you to understand is that when the medication is right here at this level, excuse me, there, when the medication is here at this level, the patient or the person with Parkinson's will be feeling good, right? This is the level at which people are actually feeling good, right? Here, they are not feeling good, so not good, and actually, right here, the person is in the off medication state, and then right here, at this level, the patient is on, but it might be too much on, right? So the patient or that person with Parkinson's might be suffering from dyskinesia. So now we see that the level of the medication actually plays a really big role. So you see that the patient took the medication at 8 in the morning. They might have taken around half an hour. So this point is 8:30. At that point, the patient starts feeling the benefit from the medication, and then for this long period of time between 8:30 and 12 p.m., they're actually feeling good. Actually, by 12:30 is when they feel that the level of the medication is going down, right? So your doctor told you to take the medication right here at 12 p.m. or a little bit before. And the idea is that you are going to connect the dosages of the medicine, right? And then you will be taking the next dose of the medication around 4 p.m. and that will last maybe until 8:25. But you took the medication at 8 p.m. So now you have medication that you will carry over and you're feeling good, right? So what we see here is the following. As long as you are within this range, which is the one that I'm marking it with the yellow highlighter, right? The patient is going to feel good. So a person that has Parkinson disease during the early stages, typically almost any dose of the medication is going to help them. They're going to feel good. They might be a little bit of off in the morning while they get that first dose of the medication going, but in between, they are going to feel that they are in the good state, in the on medication state. And when you are on, your symptoms of tremors and walking and all that, they feel better. So the on state is actually this uh, good state, right? So the good on. So you can be in the off medication state, and we don't like the off, right? We think that the off is shaky. You might be having more issues with your balance, right? So this is the off state. Nobody wants to be here, but then the on state with dyskinesia will be undesirable as well for some people. However, you're not taking that much medicine to get to that level. So you're actually feeling okay. You're feeling good. You're not reaching that point yet. Now, when Parkinson disease continue advancing, things begin to change. And let me tell you how this presents, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to move here and draw another graph, right? And once again, I have my 8 a.m. dose. I have my 12 p.m. I have my 4 p.m. And then I have my 8 p.m. Okay. Now, this is what is happening, that as Parkinson disease is advancing, that therapeutic window becomes smaller, begins to narrow. Let me show you how that looks, right? So now, for that particular patient, this is what is going to happen. The therapeutic window now looks like this. So let's go ahead and compare, right? Let's compare the previous one with this one. So this is the previous graph, the previous presentation, and we see how this therapeutic window is pretty large, right? But now, when Parkinson disease is advancing, and we're going to call this moderate, okay, Parkinson's, right? What we see is that that therapeutic window is smaller. So now this is what is going to happen. The patient is going to take the medication, right? And they might be heading here, and it might last all the way here, and then they will take the next dose of the medication, and this one actually might hit a little bit higher, right? Or it might be a little bit lower, and then the third dose of the medication that they're taking here might just be a little bit higher, right? And then the next dose of the medication that they're taking at A might be hitting a little bit higher. So this is what is going to happen, right? Let's go back to what we were talking earlier. So right here, the patient is in the off state, right? So I'm just gonna make some marks here to see how we can present this. So this area here is the off medication state. Here is the good state, right? Here we're good, we're on. The tremors are better, the symptoms are improved, you're able to walk, the way that you talk is more understandable, right? So this is the good on. Now here, the patient might be now in the dyskinetic state, okay? So look what is happening. That first dose of the medication, it was fine. We might see that the patient might be spending a little bit of time here in the off medication state, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at it here. And then maybe later in the day, and I'm marking this in red, right, to have a better understanding. Look how this patient is spending now some time in the off medication state. So maybe the patient now took a little bit of a higher medication, or they were able to absorb the medication a little bit easier. So this is going to change, and now my patient is going to have a higher dose of the medication. However, they will be getting into this kinetic state. So they're going to spend, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. I don't know. Everything depends on the patient, right? But now we understand how the timing of the medication as the Parkinson disease is advancing and the level of the medication in your body will have a manifestation. So obviously, because when you're in the off medication state, you have more tremors, more stiffness, more slowness. Some people will have more freezing of gait. So you don't want to spend a lot of time right here, right? So we want to move away from this spot here, right? We don't want to be here. So I'm gonna mark it. Let me see. I'm gonna mark it with the green. That means off state, right? So this time period here is my patient being in the off medication state. This time period here, there was nothing here. Actually, everything connected very well here. So in the afternoon, later in the day, we're actually doing good, right? But now this is what happens. I told you that this is the early Parkinson's disease, and let's go ahead and mark that. So early Parkinson's, early PD, right? Here is moderate or medium PD, right? And now we're gonna be moving to more advanced Parkinson's, right? And let's see how that looks, right? Because that's when Parkinson disease management is very complex. So let's go ahead and move on now, okay? Um, let's open a new page here, and here we are. Let's move on now to the, we're gonna call this advanced Parkinson's disease, right? And this is very interesting because when I speak about Parkinson's and the stages, I I I determine the stage based on how well the patient is responding to the medication. And I'm going to make a good representation about this. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move here. And once again, I'm going to draw my graph, right? So here we are. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger this time so I can portray this really nice. And now I am going to draw my therapeutic window, right? So now my therapeutic window is going to look like this and like this. So now we're learning something, right? Immediately we notice that the time of the day where we are feeling good or on becomes smaller. So that's what we call the sweet spot, right? Right here, let's go back to the dimmer, right? We were talking about the dimmer. This is the 7. And I want you to follow this because I want you to understand a few things, right? So, as long as the dose of the medication is within this range during the day, the patient typically feels good, the tremors are better, there is typically less freezing of gait, there are no dyskinesias, and the patient is not off, right? So, this is what we're learning at this point, right? So, let's go back to 8 a.m. Let's put now my 12 p.m. dose. Let's put my 4 p.m. dose. And now let's put here my 8 p.m. dose, right? Let me go ahead and delete this here. We don't need this here. So this is what is going to happen now. The patient is going to take the medication at 8 a.m. And let me try to make a better presentation here. Let's go back here. So the patient is going to take the medication at 8 a.m. And now it's going to take longer, right? Because I need even more medicine at this point to feel better. And I am going to bring this down here. So look what is happening now. The way that the patient is now responding to the medication changes to some extent. And what we see is that it is taking longer for me to reach the on medication state, the good time, and spending more time dyskinetic. And it's actually not lasting as long, right? So I'm going to have to take now my medication a little bit earlier. So my doctor might tell me, well, you're going to have to take the medication at 11:30. So I'm going to take it here to try to make it last here, right? But this is what is going to happen, right? This medication, this dosage might actually not get to the level where I'm dyskinetic, but I'm going to be on, but I'm going to be on only for a short period. So see the amount of time that you're spending in the off medication state. And then you might take a little bit of more medicine and you have to take it earlier, not right? Because now I'm gonna have to take it maybe at 3 p.m. in order for the dosages to connect. So I'm gonna take my medication at 3 p.m. and then because it's the dose of the medication now, I'm getting back into that dyskinetic state, right? And then instead of 8 p.m., the next dose of the medication will have to happen at 6 p.m. in order for me to feel better, right? So I'm gonna take the medication. I'm going to take the medication at 6 p.m. And here we go, trying to make the benefit of the medication last. So let's go ahead and understand this better. So see how much time we're spending now in the off medication state. My patient might be taking the medication at 8 a.m., but it might not be until 8:45, 8:50 that they're feeling good. Here we are in the off state. Here we are in the off state. Here we are in the off state as well, right? But not only that, now my patient is at this level dyskinetic, right? And at this level, there are some dyskinesias. At this level, there are some dyskinesias as well. But I want you to understand something which in my experience and my impression, this seems to bother the patients a lot, right? It's actually the issue of the unpredictability. So here we see something. Here, the patient might be off only 15 to 20 minutes. Here they might be off for 45 minutes. Here they might be off for the full hour, right? So now you're trying to continue working, right? Or you want to go to the office, or you're teaching a class, or you work at the library, or you're just volunteering, right? Or you want to do something that is exciting for you. You want to go play a game of golf, right? You go with some friends. But the problem is that now Parkinson's disease is unpredictable. And when things are predictable, you can manage them better, right? So now let's go ahead and discuss this, because now right here, what it means is that my patient is going to be dyskinetic, and here the patient is going to be in the off state. And what we see now, let's go ahead and compare this with the previous graph, right? So once again, we were talking about this, how this is the therapeutic window at this point, right? See the size of that therapeutic window, but not that therapeutic window, which is the amount of medication that you need to feel good, is more difficult, right? It's more difficult for your doctor to keep you within that range. Now, this is the other concept that I want you to understand. So I mentioned to you, I told you that the 7 is the lucky 7, the sweet spot where it really feels good. And here we have a 6, here we have the 5, here we have the 4, here we have the 3, here we have the 2, and here we have a 1, and here we have an 8, right? Here we have a 9, and then here we have the 10. So you see that the 7 is the lucky 7, is the sweet spot when you're feeling the best with your medication for Parkinson's. You might be at a 6, right? And at a 6, you're not that off, but you're not fully on, right? You don't feel like you're right there yet. At the 5, you're a little bit more off, but not that bad. However, if you are at a 3, you just don't feel good, right? So always think with that mentality. The same way you can be at an 8, meaning that you will be on, you might have mild dyskinesias, but they don't bother you and they don't bother anyone. And you probably tell yourself, listen, they really don't bother me. I can manage this very well. However, at a 9, the patient might be having more dyskinesias, and at the 10, the patient might be having severe dyskinesias. And sometimes they can be very, very bothersome, very disabling. So now you understand a little bit better why is it so critical to understand what the on and the off medication state, because it gives you an idea about how much medicine and how much the adjustment has to be. We have patients that they follow this very meticulously in much detail, and they tell me, well, doctor, you know what, from this time to this time I'm off, and then I turn on, and then I spending this amount of time in the dyskinetic state. And that is all very helpful, right? It's very helpful because it helps me make good decisions for my patients, right? And remember that the goal of the therapy is to keep my patient within this medication range, right? Now, remember that trying to do that in patients with more advanced Parkinson disease can be very difficult. And it can be very difficult. Why? It can be very difficult because remember that when we speak about the medicine for Parkinson's, we have the carbidopa, levodopa, 25-100, right? And then we have the carbidopa, levodopa, 25 to 50. Those are the immediate release. There's also the 10-100 and the that we I don't like to use. I like to use the 25-100 variety. And then we have the extended release versions, which are 25-100 and 50-100, right? But these medicines are, a different animal, and the way that they are dissolved, they do not seem to be that great, right? So your doctor will be dependent mostly on this. So when we look at these medicines, remember that we're gonna be paying attention to this number. That's where the money is, right? The 100 and the 250 is the dose of levodopa, which is the medication that is going to improve the symptoms of Parkinson's. So what do you see there? You see that there is a dose of 100, a dose of 250, and this is comparable to going to a store and there is a small size for a shirt, right? That is small. That will be the 25 100, right? And there is extra extra large, which is the 25 to 50. So we don't have anything in between, right? The dosages that we have available this day and for many many years is 25 100 and the 25 to 50. So you can cut these medicines in half, and you might be able to make something out of it, right? 125 milligrams or 50 milligrams. But trying to cut this in four, those pills are going to break down. You really do not know how much of the medicine you're getting. That's why there are some other varieties, a new variety of carbidopa, levodopa that you can actually cut in quarters. So you have 25 milligrams increments. That's something that you can talk to your doctor about this, right? So summarizing this again, when you are in the on medication state is when you feel good, and then this kinetic state for many people at this level actually might not be that bad. But once we get at this high level, if you are at the 8, it might not be such a big deal, but at a 9, at a 10, many people will be bothered, and it's an undesirable state. And then for most people, the lower you are when we speak about the off state, right? So this off state, uh, here is worse actually compared to being at this level, right? So you want to be right here. So let's go ahead and try to see that again. So this is a very large therapeutic window early in Parkinson's disease. It's like playing darts and having a bullseye that is really big, right? So almost everybody will be able to get it right. But as Parkinson's disease advances, now that bullseye gets a little bit smaller. That sweet spot is more difficult to achieve, but it's actually not that bad. But once we move into more advanced Parkinson's disease, things are a little bit more difficult. So as you can see, this is a very difficult concept, and this is the reason why you may need to change the timing of your medicine. Initially, you were taking the medication at 12, but now you have to take it maybe at 11 a.m. So now that means that the 3 p.m. will be moving to 2 p.m., right? And then the 6 p.m. will have to move maybe at 5 p.m. because it's just your doctor is trying to connect the dosages to the point that they're not too high that you're very dyskinetic, but you're not low either, where you're not obtaining the best benefit from the medicine. So as you can see, this can be a very difficult concept, and as you can see, you can understand why is it so difficult for your doctor to find the right amount of medications for many of you, because it's just extremely difficult, right? It's hard to get that very tiny therapeutic window and a dose of the medication that is going to help you during this time. It is usually at this time that where people have advanced Parkinson's disease that we begin to think about surgery for Parkinson's. So the options that you have at this point, you have DBS, right? The other option that you have at this level is the intestinal carbidopa levodopa, right? That's a more advanced treatment. Uh, Carbolevo, I'm just going to summarize it here. It can be difficult. So that's one therapy. This is another therapy. Right here, very soon I'm hoping to have some subcutaneous infusions, right? So these are new therapies that I'm hoping to see very soon, actually within the next 2 to 3 months coming into the market, right? And the goal of these therapies is trying to somehow modulate or keep the patient within this therapeutic window, right? Once again, where the patient is staying in that good on medication state. Okay. So I hope that you understand. I really try to make it easier. I want you to think about that dimmer for you to graduate yourself to understand how is it that you are feeling, okay? And always think about the therapeutic window, right? That lucky seven. How do I feel? Am I at the seven? Am I over the seven? And you will know because there might be some dyskinesia, or am I under the seven, which means that you will be in the off medication state and maybe you need a little bit more of medicines. Remember that these are all explanations. They are very general explanations, and I want you to understand what is happening to the Parkinson disease. Now, this is not Parkinson's. This is not intro to Parkinson disease, right? This is advanced Parkinson's disease, and this very easy can be a lecture for neurology residents, right? For them to understand what is happening in the person with more advanced Parkinson disease. But you know what? Many people with Parkinson disease, they're just very smart. The caregivers are just very smart. They have been reading a lot. And I know that a lot of you will be able to understand this concept that I am presenting here. Now, what you have to remember is this is general advice, right? All these dosages that I'm putting here, the dosages, the carbidopa, levodopa 25-100 and the 25 to 50, those are real dosages that we use in the US. However, the timing of the medication, when you take it, this is all hypothetical, right? Your doctor will be making the determination of when you will be taking the medicine. So do not consider this medical advice about how you're going to be taking your medicine. This is just for you to have an understanding, and this is all a hypothetical patient. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to download all this and I'm going to attach it to the video on the YouTube channel, the Parkinson's Doctor, and you will be able to download them for you to take a look at them at home, right? So you might be able to follow up on this if you want to learn more and have access to this, okay? Remember that if you want to know more information relevant to Parkinson disease, right? Or Parkinsonian syndromes, I suggest that you subscribe to this YouTube channel at the Parkinson's Doctor, or you can visit our website, theparkinsonsdoctor.org. And right there, you will be able to connect with our Learn About Parkinson's website, and you will have access to all these videos, and you will have access to the video library. And also, we want to put more information that should be able to help you organize yourself and understand better what is happening with the Parkinson disease. Once again, this is a very complex presentation, and you might have to watch it twice, right, to be able to understand very well what is happening. If you have any questions about our clinic, this is what we do on a daily basis. Our clinic is Neurology One, and we're located in Orlando, Florida. And we have a specialized clinic for movement disorders and people with Parkinson disease and other similar conditions. Our telephone number is 407-916-0304, or you can go to our website, www.neurology1.net. I really hope that you are able to learn something from this presentation, and I'm looking forward for the next video where we can talk about the complexities of Parkinson's disease and help you understand so you can be empowered, right? You can understand better this condition and provide the best information to your doctor. Thank you very much for your attention.